Okay, so when you open ZBrush, you'll see all these windows and things. We're going to close for now. We're gonna this you can hide it by clicking hide or clicking the lightbox button up here. ZBrush used to be a 2.5D painting program, so you would bring a brush and paint with it. They were called tools, and you would modify your tool, and that's how it became a 3D sculpting software. So we're going to import our tool, which is our model. So we're going to say import, and if you have an FBX, it'll show up in here. There it is. We'll open it, and at first you won't see anything. You might see this window asking you if you want to import cameras and other stuff. You can click only or just hit OK. It shouldn't bring anything else with you. And it says file imported, and you can see it right here, but there's nothing on your canvas here. So what you need to do is make sure you do this right. Click and drag once. And then before you hit anything else, before you click anywhere else, you hit edit. Okay? And now you're ready with your model in here. If you click on something else, and this will eventually happen, no matter what you do, it will happen. So let me undo this. Yeah, I lost it. Let me get out of edit. So let's say you import it and say okay, and then bring it in here. And then you forget to click edit, you start doing other stuff. This is what you'll see. So it looks like I'm painting with the model, and that's what I used to be designed for. So if that happens to you, don't worry if you see more than one copy of your model. Just hit Control N, which will give you a new scene. Control N. So now your scene's clear. Your model's still here. Click and drag once. You can drag down so it stays straight, and then hit edit before anything happens. Sometimes you're sculpting and you'll see your model repeat itself by accident. Just hit Control N and maybe frame the camera. This button will frame the camera, and your model will be fine. So now we have the same model than in Maya. Navigation is not the same, sadly, but if you click outside your model and drag, you'll be rotating. If you hold down Alt and drag, you'll be panning. And if you hold down Alt and drag and then let go of Alt, but not of the mouse button, you'll be zooming in and out. And it will usually zoom in on wherever you have sculpted. Okay, so Alt and drag will pan. If you hold down the mouse button and don't let go of it, but let go of the Alt button, you can zoom in and out. Sometimes you want to rotate the model, but you are too close to it and you can't drag outside of it. You can use the controls here. So this will zoom in and out, this will pan, and this will rotate. You can make it biased to rotate just on the y-axis. Sometimes it rotates in weird angles. Keep it close. You can still rotate it on the other angles, but it tends to align to Y easier. And if you're too close and want to see the whole model, just hit F or click the frame. So your model looks like this, right? You were like, hey, it didn't look like this in Maya. It was self-divided and it looked neat. Well, all you have to do is go into the geometry option here under tools and click on divide. And you'll see it kind of approaching what Maya was doing when you hit 3 when it was smoothing. You actually don't want to see polygons, so we'll click it one more time until we don't see any polygons. Maybe one more time. So now it's smooth enough. If I were to sculpt, you know, it looks smooth. That's what we want. We're at 3 million polygons, and ZBrush doesn't even sneeze or anything with that many polygons. They're very, very efficient to handle all those polygons. You can't even tell my crappy polygon flow back here. But we'll fix it afterwards. So you're ready to sculpt now. The first thing I want you to do is try brushes. So if you look over here, this is the brush. The most common brush you're using is the standard brush, which is kind of a smooth brush. The other one you'll use all the time is either clay or clay buildup. A smooth, which you get it by hitting shift, or let's see, it's a shift. Yeah, if you hold down shift, you're smooth. Let me get rid of that. If you hit X, you know, X is side to side, that will turn on symmetry. So now I'm symmetrical on both sides. if you hit Y, you know it'll be symmetrical up and down, and Z will be symmetrical the other way when you sculpt. But usually if you want to do big changes, you want to bring this down. You know, just like in Maya, with few points, you can make the biggest changes. So we'll click on the brush. There's a move brush in here, which is very handy. So smooth, clay, standard brush, and the move brushes are probably the ones you're gonna use the most all the time. Let's see where's, and you can hit the first, you can learn the shortcuts here. If you hit B, you'll get this window. S will be the size of the brush. If you forget it, it's up here. S. Draw size is S. Here's intensity, how intense the brush is. Shortcuts U, or focal shift. If you can see on the brush, it's making the brush fade out to the outside circle, more or less. Usually the default is 0, and it's the one that works the best. So if you want to do big changes, it's easier to do it in the lower subdivision. So now I'm going to hit B, which is the shortcut for brushes, and M for move. I can't remember where it is, but luckily they're in alphabetical order. So if you go M, where's move? There's move. Move topological is probably the best. You know, usually you want your brushes a little bit bigger than you think. Whoops. Oh, dang it. A little bit bigger than you think they should be. So again, S is for the size of the brush. And see, now I can make the arm skinnier. With moving just a few points. Maybe it needs to be a little wider. It's too thin at the hips. And I'm gonna pan by holding Alt. You know, I can make changes here on the fly by just moving a few points. Maybe the neck here. Hit S to get the size of the brush. I think the ears are a little weird, you know? Yeah. So experiment with this, save this first. So if you ruin it, you know, it's okay. You can import it again, but again, you import your FBX file through here. Click and drag once, hit edit right away, and then start playing with brushes. Save one model just to play with it, you know, to get used to using the brushes. The hardest thing is getting used to the size of the brushes. And I see many students using smaller brushes to sculpt, which is really hard to sculpt with little tiny brushes, you know, trying to make details like this. It will take, oh, I have the move brush. Let me hit B to get a different brush. The standard is probably good in here. S for standard. Where is it? T. You know, it's really hard to sculpt like this. It's easier if you use a big brush. Let's say B for brush. And then clay will add like layers. So we'll make it bigger. So we'll hit S for size. And then you add a few layers in here. Oh, that's too big. And it's kind of hard to do it with the mouse. So we might have to soften our brush quite a bit. I know some of you don't have tablets. So let's lower the intensity. Say something like that. You can add layers, you know. And if it looks rough, it's okay. You hold on Shift and smooth, you know. It'll smooth most of your problems away. But you know, now I can add my black muscle here. That's too big, so I need to see how big the brush needs to be. That's the biggest thing you'll run into. You know, what if I wanted to do the serratus muscles here? I'll do brush. There's a brush that does little cuts. It's called the Dam Standard, this one. And if you mouse over, see it makes like, you can make the ribs like this. It's just too strong. So I'll lower the intensity of it. If you're just using a mouse, you'll have to be doing this a lot. That's too little. Let's say like this, you know. I can draw it first. Something like that, right? Something like that is what it looks like. I would be looking at my reference. And then if it's too strong, you smooth, right? so it's not so strong. But yeah, take some time to just play with the brushes and get used to them. I'll show you how to actually get things done on the next video. But the first thing is getting used to using big brushes and small brushes. So have a model that you can save, one version that you can just throw away. The way to save in ZBrush is over here. It's not at the beginning for some reason. It's right here. You say File, Save As. It'll save your project. You call this First Sculpt or Test, whatever you want to call it. So you can play with it and break it and don't feel bad about it, right? So you can play with all the brushes and see what you come up with. And then, okay, I killed that model. That's okay. I still have a copy that I can import again and do it right the second time around.